The Cruel Paradox: How Black Women's Entrepreneurship Reveals America's Broken Promise. Good evening, everyone. I stand before you today both humbled and electrified by the conversation that transformed my understanding of entrepreneurship in America. Recently, I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Shakeitha, a revolutionary thought leader whose work illuminates the complex intersection of race, gender, and business in ways that fundamentally challenge our most cherished national narratives. Shakeitha isn't just documenting the rise of Black women entrepreneurs, she's exposing the deep contradictions within our economic systems while simultaneously building bridges toward a more equitable future. Her research has opened doors for countless women while forcing institutions to confront their complicity in systemic exclusion. In our conversation, she shared insights so profound, so disruptive to conventional wisdom, that I knew I had to bring them to this stage. We Americans love our entrepreneurial mythology, don't we? The visionary in the garage, the college dropout turned billionaire, the immigrant who builds an empire from nothing. These stories reinforce our collective belief that entrepreneurship represents the ultimate expression of American freedom, the choice to chart your own course, to bet on yourself, to pursue your passion. But what if I told you that for the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America, Black women, this narrative isn't just incomplete, but fundamentally dishonest? The statistics are striking. Black women are launching businesses at a rate 6 times the national average. They're the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in the United States. On the surface, this appears to be a triumph, evidence of barriers finally falling, of progress finally being made. But dig deeper, and a more troubling reality emerges. This entrepreneurial surge isn't simply about opportunity, it's about necessity, it's about survival. For many Black women, entrepreneurship isn't just a choice, it's a response to systemic exclusion. It's what happens when corporate America's glass ceiling becomes a concrete barrier, when DEI initiatives get rolled back at the first hint of economic uncertainty, when advancement opportunities mysteriously evaporate, when the emotional tax of navigating hostile work environments becomes too crushing to bear. This insight fundamentally challenges how we conceptualize the American dream. We celebrate those who quit their jobs to pursue their passion. But what about those who start businesses because their talents, their education, their expertise were consistently undervalued and overlooked in traditional employment settings? This isn't just about individual stories. This is about recognizing a pattern, a system that simultaneously pushes Black women out of corporate spaces while celebrating their resilience when they build something of their own. It's about acknowledging the cruel paradox at the heart of Black women's entrepreneurship. Their success often springs from systems designed for their exclusion. Let me bring this to life through 3 powerful stories that Shakeitha shared, each illuminating how Black women entrepreneurs are transforming industries while responding to systemic failures. First, meet Jasmine, founder of Navigate Maternity, who developed the first FDA cleared maternal health wearable specifically designed to improve outcomes for Black mothers. The statistics that drove her innovation are heartbreaking. Black women in America are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy related complications than white women. Jasmine didn't just see a market opportunity, she saw a life or death crisis affecting her community. Her journey wasn't smooth. She faced skepticism from medical establishments that had ignored these disparities for decades. Potential investors questioned whether the market was niche, One venture capitalist actually suggested she broaden the appeal by making the product less focused on Black women. But Jasmine persisted. She leveraged community partnerships, built a diverse advisory board, and focused relentlessly on data driven innovation. When traditional funding avenues closed, she found alternative paths. When medical experts doubted her, she brought her own experts to the table. Today, Navigate Maternity's wearable technology is being piloted in major hospitals, showing remarkable improvements in patient outcomes. This isn't just business success, it's literally saving lives. And it exists because Jasmine refused to accept a healthcare system that treated Black mothers as disposable. Now consider Tasha, founder of Oak Theory, a UX UI design agency that has built an impressive reputation for inclusive design in the tech industry. Breaking into tech is challenging for anyone, but for Black women who remain severely underrepresented, the barriers are formidable. Tasha didn't just face the usual startup challenges, she confronted an industry where less than 3% of the workforce looks like her. After years of being the only one in the room, of having her ideas appropriated, of being passed over for promotions, Tasha didn't just quit, she created something revolutionary. Oak Theory differentiates itself through inclusive design principles that consider users from all backgrounds. Their designs don't just work for the typical user, they work for everyone. The agency has secured contracts with major brands by demonstrating how inclusivity drives innovation. They've helped clients improve accessibility and representation in digital products, proving that diversity isn't just a moral imperative, it's a competitive advantage. But Oak Theory's impact extends beyond client work. The agency runs mentorship programs specifically for Black women in tech, creating pathways that Tasha herself never had. They've influenced broader adoption of inclusive practices across the industry. This is how systemic change begins, with one leader refusing to accept the status quo. Finally, there's Maya, founder of Alana Eve, a fashion brand focused on luxury, sustainability, and inclusive sizing. Maya faced significant obstacles, accessing capital and breaking into a market dominated by established brands with limited diversity. The fashion industry has long operated with narrow definitions of beauty that marginalize both consumers and creators of color. After being told repeatedly that luxury doesn't come in plus sizes and that sustainable practices were too expensive for her target market, Maya decided to prove the industry wrong. Using recycled materials and offering sizes from XS to 3X, Alana Eve built a loyal customer base hungry for representation. The brand achieved rapid growth, expanded its product line, and received media coverage for challenging industry norms. Today, Alana Eve has partnerships with major retailers who previously claimed there was no market for inclusive luxury fashion. Maya didn't just build a successful company, she forced an entire industry to reconsider its assumptions about who deserves beautiful, sustainable clothing. These three stories illuminate something profound. Black women entrepreneurs aren't just building businesses, they're addressing gaps created by systemic exclusion. They're solving problems that established industries have ignored. They're creating spaces where they and others like them can thrive. This is innovation born of necessity. It's creativity fueled by the need to overcome barriers. It's entrepreneurship as both resistance and healing. And the impact extends far beyond business metrics. These entrepreneurs are redefining industry standards and inspiring broader societal change. They're not just participating in existing systems, they're building new ones that work better for everyone. But here's where we must be honest with ourselves. While we celebrate these success stories, and they absolutely deserve celebration, we must also acknowledge the systemic failures that made them necessary in the first place. Why must Black women create their own maternal health technology to address disparities our healthcare system has known about for decades? Why must they build their own design agencies to find workplaces where their talents are valued? Why must they launch their own fashion brands to find clothes that fit and reflect their identities? The resilience is inspiring, the innovation is remarkable. But the conditions that necessitate this resilience and innovation reflect persistent inequities that we all have a responsibility to address. As Shakeitha emphasized, systemic barriers persist. Black women entrepreneurs face higher lending rejection rates. They receive less than 1% of venture capital funding. They've been disproportionately affected by the rollback of corporate DEI programs. Yet, through collective action and innovation, they're changing the landscape. They're building successful businesses. They're pioneering inclusive models across industries. They're demonstrating that when we remove barriers to full participation, everyone benefits from the resulting innovation. This brings me to what I believe is the most important takeaway from my conversation with Shakeitha. The accomplishments of Black women entrepreneurs are not just driving economic growth, they're showing us what's possible when talent that has been systematically excluded finally has the opportunity to flourish. These entrepreneurs are not just building businesses. They're building blueprints for a more equitable future. They're showing us what industries could look like if they were designed with everyone in mind from the beginning. So, where do we go from here? What is our responsibility in the face of this knowledge? It's not enough to applaud Black women's resilience while ignoring the conditions that make such resilience necessary. It's not enough to celebrate their entrepreneurial success without examining why entrepreneurship became their only viable path to economic dignity. We must ask ourselves the hard questions. How are our organizations, our industries, our investment decisions perpetuating the very systems that push Black women toward entrepreneurship, not by choice, but by necessity? How might we be complicit in creating environments where talent is systematically undervalued based on race and gender? And most importantly, what are we prepared to do about it? If you're an investor, are you examining the biases in your funding decisions? If you're a corporate leader, are you creating pathways for advancement that don't lead Black female talent? If you're a consumer, are you supporting businesses that reflect your values around inclusion? The future doesn't just happen. We build it through our choices, our policies, our priorities. The question isn't whether Black women will continue to innovate and create. They've proven their resilience beyond any doubt. The question is whether the rest of us will finally recognize that a system requiring such extraordinary resilience from some while offering easy paths to others isn't just unfair, it's a massive waste of human potential. I challenge each of you to move beyond admiration to action. Support Black women entrepreneurs, not just with your dollars, but with your networks, your mentorship, your advocacy for systemic change. Work to create environments where entrepreneurship is truly a choice for everyone, not a response to exclusion. The innovation we're seeing from Black women entrepreneurs today offers us a glimpse of what's possible when talent that has been systematically overlooked finally has the chance to lead. Imagine what could happen if we removed the barriers that make this path so much harder for some than others. That's the world I believe we can build together. That's the future that visionaries like Shakeitha Gammons are helping us imagine and create. Not just a world where Black women can succeed despite the system, but one where success doesn't require overcoming systemic barriers in the first place. The choice is ours. What will we build?